Thank you very much. Good evening. Welcome to the Employment Policy Committee on the Tuesday, the 5th of September. We are streaming live, so please do not swear. For those who are online, just so you are aware of who's in the room, if you're watching this. So I am Councillor Etienne. I am the chair of this committee.
I'm Keith Healy. I'm chair of the Finance Committee.
I'm Ethan Kelly Wilson and I'm chair of Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council and Town Councillor for Newton Lees.
I'm Gavin Bedford and I'm vice chair of this committee.
So they're the committee members, and also in the room and wonderfully clerk in the meeting is our fabulous clerk.
Delia Shepherd.
There we go. So we first start off with the first item as we usually do. Any apologies for absence?
Yes, we've literally just at the last minute had apologies from Councillor Rossimilli, who's had a last minute emergency at home, so isn't able to attend. He sends his apologies.
Moving on to item 2, to note councillors' declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. Are there any interests on the agenda? Great.
No chair.
Moving on to item 3, to improve the minutes of the previous meeting. Are they all approved?
Great.
Great.
Okay. We move on to public speaking. I don't believe we've had any requests for any public speaking tonight, so we will move on to item 5. To receive a report on health and safety matters affecting employees and council activities.
Yes, this is an oral report. So just to update on the health, there were some property health and safety matters that needed to be undertaken to complete our health and safety action plan, and that involved a fire door in Sycamore House and some fire retardant boarding to the staircase, and that work has been completed and it was approved by the Finance and Governance Committee, and it's now been completed. So our health and safety action plan, as it stood, is now complete. However, we've come round to the point where our health and safety advisors are due to visit us again next week to start the process all over again. There will be more for the competent person to look at, because obviously we've done quite a lot of work on health and safety with the introduction of the new landscaping team, and we have all our risk assessments and method statements to be reviewed. So those are available to councillors if they wish to see them. They're all on the dashboard on the software that we have with WorkNest, and we can make those available. But they are in use, but they will be reviewed once the visits take place. We've also recently updated first aid training for the entire staff team, because we've taken on the new landscaping operatives. They've had they've had first aid training, and the rest of the staff team, with one exception, also have refresher training. So we're up to date on first aid. And there's been some of the training done, but it's not relevant to health and safety. So I haven't really got anything else to say unless anybody's got any questions on health and safety.
Any questions? No. Do we note the oral report? Noted. That moves us on to item 6. To note the performance appraisals for all employees are due to be conducted, to review relevant policy documents, to consider potential changes for recommendation to full council.
Yes, I've got something to say actually on this. We're due to start this. I think if you remember, we changed our procedures for performance management review. We changed the timing to fit in better with budget planning and determination of any increments that would be due to be awarded in April every year. So we're just about to start on it now. I included the papers in the pack in case you wish to make any changes, but as members may be aware, the Town Council's recently been awarded quality status by the local government award scheme. Council award scheme. I'm sorry, I just can't get my words out tonight. The local council award scheme, and in the feedback we got when we received our accreditation was commendation on the performance appraisal system, and they said it was one of the best they'd ever seen. So if we don't alter it, I suggest we don't alter it too much.
Leave it alone. Yeah.
Well, I think on that note, I think that's a big well done to the clerk and the team, but also to us as a committee for working together to develop that. So hopefully other councils will see what we're doing and use this as an example of best practice. Well done. Well done.
It was as Chair says, as the committee, we worked on it together, didn't we?
Any questions on item 6 or?
No.
That's fine. We will note the documents and that they are due to be conducted soon, the appraisals. Item 7, to note that employee contracts and handbook are due for review by WorkNest and to consider the need for any additional HR policies.
Yes, there's two elements to this. So the contract has been, both the contract and the handbook have been reviewed relatively recently. And there's no additional charge for having this review. It's part of our package with our employment law advisors to ensure that we keep both sets of documents up to date. There have been some changes, but minor changes, I think, that might affect the contract, but they're quite minor changes. The handbook, if you recall, is a non-contractual handbook. So what's in the handbook can be what we decide we want to put in the handbook, and it may be that members of this committee or WorkNest will have some suggestions for us on that. There is a confidential, there is an item in the confidential report that I've produced about one aspect of terms and conditions which affects existing staff, and that's why it's in the confidential report. But it's sort of pertinent to this item, and it's possible it could be discussed now, or you could choose to discuss it if you decide to go into confidential session later. It's not up to you.
I would prefer that we discuss it under confidential section later.
Agreed.
And we can do more items on live stream and the public.
Okay. Is there anything else that members would wish to me to flag up with WorkNest at this stage before they embark on the review? They, that things will arise from what they say, and that often tends to lead to more input from us. But if you've got any thoughts now.
I've got some comments on the handbook, and I think probably stylistic more than anything else. But I think I'll probably give those direct. I'll give those back by email.
That sounds sensible.
One policy we don't have either within our HR policies is a menopause policy, and I know a lot of employers are starting to introduce menopause policies, and it's something the committee might want to consider.
Sorry, did I send you the menopause policy that we? Right, that's why I kind of raised my eyebrow a little bit, because I have been asked by the clerk to provide the one that we have at work, and I will just send a little note to myself to send this to you tomorrow.
But I think that is an important point, that actually it should be something that should be included in our policies. It's important. Any other comments or anything else that if you need to be included in that? No? That's fine. That moves us on to item 8, to note a statement from Unison regarding the JNC pay negotiations between employers and the unions in relation to the 2023 and 24 pay scale.
Got anything to say about that, Chair? It's just an update so that members of the committee are aware where the negotiations are.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Only that it's disappointing, I think, that our employees that unfortunately this has taken so long from the joint negotiating committee to actually resolve, and I'm hoping that we can get this, that it is resolved at central government level as soon as possible so we can make these payments.
It's not a matter of interest that I'm a member of Houston, is it?
I don't think
No,
so.
okay, that's fine. That's how we do it.
We can draw attention to it if you'd like that.
You're not on there. You're not part of this negotiation.
No, I know. I just wanted to check.
But historically, there's been months and months before any digging's been done, isn't it? Over the years.
Yeah.
It probably goes on into October, November time.
Well, I think that on the last occasion, we managed to get the payable paid in March before the new negotiation started on the 1st of April. So that, you know, and I'm really hopeful that won't happen this year, that we'll have something agreed before Christmas, but who knows?
Which will make budgeting interesting. Do we note the report then with those comments?
Yeah.
That's great. That moves us on to item 9, to receive financial management report showing expenditure against budget for the year to date on employment matters and to give preliminary consideration to issues affecting the 24-25 staff budget. Mark, did you have anything that you wanted to?
I've got nothing to say about the management report. I just think the budgeting this year, we're going to have to be really, you know, it's going to be a really difficult process with inflation and costs increasing the way that they are. And it's important that I mean, there is uncertainty about pay still. But I think it's really important that we just really try and scrutinise the staff budget, because it's such a large part of our expenditure. And that it's really scrutinised, and that we try and have it as close to we expect to spend as possible, as we always have to do with every element of the budget.
Well, I still don't think the staff structure is ideal. From the workload that's still cropping up, and I would, whether we can address it for next financial year, I don't know, but I would hope we can certainly look at it again.
Any other comments on the?
We do have another meeting of this committee before Christmas, so that, you know, we can do some more detailed work then.
I think that would be useful. And I think if anyone's got any questions on any of these lines in the budget, just raise them as a clerk before then, so that and if you can be, so you can try and address stuff before the meeting.
7th of November.
Yeah.
So the question is, at the moment, does it look like for the current annual budget and the actual year to date, apart from HR advisory services, that we're going to be within budget? Do you expect for?
No, I think on pay, well, on pay, we've been forecasting an overspend on pay because of the pay award, because of the most recent offer from the employers. So, and it looks like that's probably what the award will turn out to be. Based on that was higher than we had anticipated. However, when we budgeted, obviously we've done better with interest on our reserves than anticipated. So it's, you know, there's the entire budget will not be, as always, it's always the best guess. So not too worried about the staff element of it in terms of the cost, because of that compensation there.
I mean, I guess the principal thing is, are we estimating what we think the negotiation committee will come up with, and that deal, and we don't want it to be too generous, because we don't want to be too optimistic about what that will be, but you also don't want to be too pessimistic. So it's about finding that middle ground. But it's around the other items that I don't want to say discretionary because they're not discretionary, but around some of the things that are a little bit more variable in terms of demand and need, around things like the staff travel. Do we have the best payroll option? Do we have the in terms of staff uniforms and equipment? I guess this year's a little bit higher because we've taken on a new service.
Yeah.
But of course, if you have turnover of staff, that's how do you predict that into there? Are we getting the best from our advisory services? And yeah, all of those lines would be useful to just have some more detailed understanding of what, if there's anything that can be done to make sure that's more accurate, that's as accurate as possible.
Yeah, so I'll do some work with the RFO ready for the November meeting so that there's sort of detailed information about all those budget lines. And if anybody has any questions before then, please just let me know.
Okay.
That moves us on to item 10, which is to receive a confidential clerk's report concerning the employee team, including day-to-day management, implementation of previously agreed contractual and personnel changes, and to consider future plan and employment policy. As a committee, we do need to vote on whether we will go into a confidential session and exclude members of the press and the public. Are we all in agreement?
Agreed.
Agreed. Clark, I'll let you end the stream and the.
That'll be the end of the public session of the meeting.
Thank you all for tuning in.